Welcome to AI Driven, a podcast about using AI for business. AI Driven is produced and hosted by Cognistx, an AI company based in Pittsburgh with offices in the US, Latin America, and Asia. Welcome, I'm Patty Maldonado. I'm here with Sanjay Chopra, the CEO of Cognistx, who will also serve as host of AI Driven. Welcome, Sanjay.
Thank you, Patty. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be back in Florida.
I know, lucky you, right? You skipped out on that, you're skipping out on that Pittsburgh winter.
I am. I think by spring I'll be ready to go back.
You may never go back. Um, okay, so today we're talking about some of the basics of artificial intelligence and some of the subsets of artificial intelligence, some of the buzzwords that we hear all the time. Give us a good sense of what artificial intelligence is or what people commonly refer to as AI.
Absolutely. So, artificial intelligence was a field actually started in Dartmouth in the 50s. So, it's been around a long time. And so, what has happened is, Patty, over the last few years, the growth of AI has really accelerated, and I'll tell you the reasons why. So when AI started initially, the thought process was, can we have computers think like people do and perform tasks like people do? But back then, the technology was limited. So it was hard. The competition wasn't quite there for computers to perform a lot of tasks. So initially, AI was limited to expert systems, rule-based systems, if then else statements. But over the last couple of decades, computation has changed significantly. And there are certain areas where we have seen tremendous progress. So one of the areas is word error rate. The word error rate, or computers' ability to understand speech, has gone up significantly, and we see that constantly with Google, with Alexa, with Siri. These things now can understand us better than we can understand each other. And as it is, people have a hard time understanding each other these days. So,
I know,
so
despite all the communication options that we have.
Exactly. So speech is one area sort of, which is relates to AI, computers being able to understand and then act on that speech. And we see lots of example of that. Computer vision is another example. Sort of the cameras were there, but our ability, especially at the edge where the cameras are located, because as you know, video files become very heavy. It took a lot of processing on the cloud to sort of make meaningful sense out of those and then act on those. So computer vision has changed significantly. Facial recognition is a great example. And by far my best example for computer vision field of AI is self-driving cars. And Tesla has done a fantastic job in really taking it to the next level. They use pure computer vision in sort of their self-driving. And Aurora, Uber, some of the other companies are using multimodal AI, not just vision, but LiDAR and other techniques. So that's another growing area. Of course, there is robotics. We see robots now in manufacturing, in warehouses, moving objects around, bringing goods to the table. So that area has advanced significantly as well. And then there is NLP, or natural language processing. And what we mean by that is it's computers' ability to read, sort, index, and find large unstructured text and documents, and then act on it. So imagine you had somebody who could read thousands of documents very, very quickly, and now with a very high degree of accuracy, and then you could ask them questions. If you're a lawyer, show me all the areas which talks about this person having a fall or this person visiting this particular area, and it'll find those for you. So finding, understanding, or show me sort of areas where information breach is being talked about. That all comes under the area of natural language processing. Expert systems is another area, still continues. Basically, it's sort of, rule-based analysis. And then we have statistical modeling and optimization. So this is using regression and techniques like that and looking at past data and then making predictions about the future. And it uses lots of well-known statistical modeling techniques. And then there is machine learning, deep neural networks, graph neural networks, where now we have the computational power for the machines to look at the data, a large amount of data from the past, learn from that data, build the best models or ensemble of models to make predictions on the future, sort of, based on past data, which customers are likely to churn or which employees are likely to churn, or, which sensor data is looking faulty. So all those answers, we could use machine learning, we could use statistical modeling, combination of techniques to make it happen. So these are sort of some of the big areas where artificial intelligence comes into play.
That's amazing. So tell us about how Cognistix has been using AI and natural language processing and some of the other examples, machine learning, how you've been using it with some customers and clients. How do you put it to work for them?
Absolutely, Patty. So the areas where we focus mostly are machine learning, statistical modeling and optimization, natural language processing, and a little bit of computer vision. And what we've been able to do with these techniques is mostly look at, one segment of customers I would talk about is, what they use now, our new product called document intelligence. So these are customers like Society of Automotive Engineers, uh, Kroll, which have large amount of unstructured text, so standards or data from the deep dark web. So what we've been able to do for them is again parse this data, understand the context, and now if I'm an aerospace engineer with Boeing or Pratt and Whitney or NASA, I can figure out if a given standard changes, or if I'm working with a new part or a material, what all standards get impacted, or if a standard changes, what do I need to do to my designs? And we're applying similar techniques with a new company called Odds on Compliance, which is in the online gaming industry. So as regulations change or new states come on board and allow online gambling with companies like DraftKings and FanDuel, so on and so forth, the computers, can now read the regulation files, parse it, extract first of all using crawlers and other things, then make sense of it, and then tell the customers how these regulations impact their business. So that's another great example of using AI for natural language processing. So that's one area. The other area where we are helping clients is another product of ours called the data quality engine. And what data quality engine does is it looks at companies that work with large amount of transactional data, inventory data, customer data, purchase orders, sales orders, all coming in, and we can then apply statistical modeling, statistical analysis, AI modeling, business rules, so combination of expert systems and the other things that I talked about, and then see these orders don't make sense, or we think um, you know the tank sub tank configuration or the parameters for this particular input data seems wrong. So somebody better take a look at it. And now what that allows you to do is, as an organization, be much more operationally efficient, and you can prevent errors from happening in the future by fixing your data now. So that's the real power of data quality engine. And then we obviously have Square, which allows people to ask questions. We do work with sensor data and manufacturing data to help companies make paint better, or look at the sensor data for water purification systems. So that's another example of us using AI to make companies more efficient. And last but not the least is we're also working with Magic Med, which was acquired by Enveric, also here in Naples, Florida. Um, and what they do is drug discovery for psychedelics and cannabinoids. And what we've been able to do is work with them to enable a new field called in silico testing. So, as we know, the drug discovery process is long and complicated, and companies spend lots of uh, money, sort of, millions of dollars to bring a new drug to the market, and it takes average about 10 years. So the new area in silico testing is, instead of in vivo or in vitro testing, you can test new molecules or potential candidates on the computer with simulated data for toxicity, for binding, and for other key parameters, and eliminate a lot of them, and then only move forward with the right candidates. So that's another example. I hope I answered your question.
You did, and then some. So it sounds like AI, works for a lot of industries. Does it work for every industry? I mean, I know the technology is moving very fast and there are advancements almost daily. Um, can it be applied to every industry, or does it work better in certain industries?
I think it should work better in certain industries that are typically data rich, have lots of past information, because you need good past data, clean, normalized data from the past to train models to make predictions for the future. So if companies don't keep that, then would not be a good fit, at least from the data side of it. But other companies sort of, I think I honestly do think it's going to have a profound impact down the road. Even when it comes to autonomous trucks, self-driving trucks, which at least on the interstate drive themselves, that impacts all of us. And planes mostly fly using AI, and the pilots have to do little now fly by wire and other things, and that's been going on for a while. So I think it is going to impact all aspects of our life, but typically with companies that have either mundane tasks, which is sort of boring, or is not productive for humans to do, you can replace those with AI. And also companies which are very data rich, good data rich, would be good candidates for AI.
I think one of the concerns people have about AI is being replaced by a machine. And I think you just said something that's interesting, where AI can step in and do some of the mundane tasks and relieve individuals to do other work. Can you talk a little bit about that, and also to address the fear that people have?
No, absolutely, Patty. So both you and I love to eat, especially good food. So let's, if we take ourselves back a couple of 100 years, to grow food, if we really want to go organic and we don't want to use tractors, we could be plowing the fields with bullocks and sort of manually doing it. Of course, tractors came in and allowed us to till the ground better. We used smarter, better seeds, which resulted in productive crops and bearing. So all these things have taken human beings away from mundane and boring tasks, sort of or tough tasks to do. And I think that trend will continue, sort of of course, driving is can be exciting, but long driving for trucks is boring. So now AI is allowing us to do that. We could all be sitting and crunching large amounts of data ourselves, but reading millions of documents, A, it's not even possible, or looking at faces and not using computer vision to do that is mundane as well. So I think that's where AI can come in and step. And we as humans or people, what we need to do is think about high intellect tasks and advancing knowledge overall sort of, to make life even better for all of us, and making the world a better place by doing so. I think that's where we need to think about. We can't be fighting these changes. We need to go with the change and take it to the next level. I will, however, say it is important for companies and individuals who are making smart machines and devices to program them ethically and not sort of use them to do wrong things. So that's important, but again, the onus is on us and not the machines, because at the end of the day they do or perform tasks that we program them using algorithms to do so.
Oh, that's a very good point. I know that, the concern is out there, but yet there are ways to mitigate those concerns. And how important is it for companies that start investing in AI to educate their employees about what they're doing?
I think it's very important, because if we educate and we tell them, hey, this is the purpose, this is what we're trying to accomplish, and get the buy in, people will be all about sort of rowing in the right direction and making it happen versus trying to fight it. And as we have seen in the world, sort of, disinformation or misinformation can lead to lots more chaos. And of course, it has done it at a societal level, but it can even do it at a company level. So the onus is on the leadership at these companies to educate, to tell people, to mention the purpose, get the buy in, and move forward. I think that's when, as a society, we will be more open to AI and what it can do and really be able to reap the benefits.
What do you think will happen to companies? I mean, already we're seeing very large companies investing in AI. I'm sure that will eventually trickle down to smaller companies um, adopting different AI solutions. But what if you don't adopt AI solutions? If you are one of those individuals that doesn't believe that'll be helpful, what is the potential impact on businesses that opt to not invest in AI? What do you foresee?
I mean, they could survive, but it would be surviving by being a farmer who's still manually tilling their fields versus, using tractors.
Wow, that's a really good example. I know one of the things, harking back to what you mentioned earlier regarding data and companies who are data rich. I mean, a lot of companies use the cloud, they use different software and platforms to manage their data. What can they be doing to prepare themselves and to prepare their data and their company to be more AI ready? What are some steps they can take, or, what do you recommend?
That's a great question, Patty. And I think, to your point, what companies can be doing is having a central data strategy where they are accumulating all their corporate data in a meaningful, clean, normalized. And what I mean by normalized is linked to other data which is similar, removing duplicates in that central data lake. Because if they have that, that is a big step by towards being AI ready or AI enabled, because then you can train the models and then you can make predictions based on that data. So I think a lot of companies have been spending time, and we've been using databases now for the past 20, 30 years, SQL databases, other databases. Of course, we started with flat files, but now NoSQL databases, MongoDB, other databases. AI allows us to take things to the next level where we've been storing all this information. Let's make sure it's good, it's clean, it's actionable, and then let AI do its magic on the data. And having a central strategy, having a central repository, and having executive sponsorship to make it happen is what will make companies successful and be AI ready.
That's great. I know with the podcast, we will be talking more about what Cognistx does and some of its solutions that it's developed for companies that will be available to other companies to adopt. And what are you hoping, I guess, as it relates to the podcast, what are you hoping to achieve with AI driven?
So what I'm hoping to achieve with you and with the rest of the team members at Cognistx is really being able to educate people out there and not be afraid of AI, but adopt it, work with us or any similar vendor, sort of which has the right capability, who has the right products to get you AI ready and get you AI enabled and reap the benefits of AI. I think it's here to stay. It's upon us to adapt and move forward with it.
That's great. So I have no more questions. Anything else that you'd like to add before we end for this week?
And I'm all set. It was like always, pleasure talking to you, Patty, and we'll see you soon.
That's right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening in. Learn more about how AI drives what we do at Cognistx.com.